Place your hands on your head!
Which, hands?
I am a simple man. If there's hype for a villain, I expect to see a badass transformation. And no, that 2009 fake-ass Deadpool doesn't count either. I mean, screw that guy. But hey, there's a whole other bunch of super baddies that I can't wait to cover on Volume 5 of my top 10 supervillain transformations. Yep, I'm kind of building my own TVCU. That's the TV cinematic universe, by the way, with these lists. And I ain't stopping anytime soon, so let's get to it. Let this be a lesson to all you guys trying to get that bag by volunteering for drug experiments. Now, Project Power was a movie with immense potential, but it kind of gave up halfway through and left us all wondering what could have been. However, Candy's transformation sure gave us some chills. After volunteering for the power pill, her ice-cold abilities come into full effect, and even though there isn't any excessive CGI stuff happening, we still get to see some nice shots showing us what she's capable of. I guess nobody could put it any better than Moto comparing this girl to Elsa from Frozen. Unfortunately, this fairy tale doesn't have a happy ending, and the impressive transformation ultimately results in poor Candy getting frozen to death. Yeah, I know she's technically not a villain, but come on, there's no way she was going to use those powers for any charitable projects now, was she? Here's another entry from a movie that had so much potential, but screwed it all up. It's not often that you get to see Liam Neeson as the bad guy. Well, apart from when he's facing off against Bruce Wayne, but it kind of falls flat after all the other stuff we had to witness in this reboot stroke reimagining. While the big reveal at the end of the movie doesn't really do much for us, that slimy transformation sure did. H is unable to shoot High T, yeah, that's his name, because he only knows him as the guy who keeps saving his wife and daughter from European kidnappers. The build-up progresses steadily at first, but shit turns up to 1,000 when High T freaking morphs into some disgusting Hive hybrid. Oh, Thor's gonna need more than sanitizer to clean those hands. Anyway, the Hive angle was still a little unexpected, so the shock factor works, and of course, the effects are pretty cool. So all in all, you could call this one My T.
Right time, right place.
Who can never die.
Matt, what's with all these awesome transformations in these awful movies? Well, at least I'll filter it for you, won't I? Numu's a pretty badass villain, so you know she's coming for vengeance after King Arthur chops her head off with his Excalibur sword thingy. I guess Alice finally got a taste of her own medicine, didn't she? Anyway, our transformation kicks off after Nemu is revived by a witch and a pig fairy. Yeah, that's what they call him. This one actually works more in favor of the poetic nature of the scene because everything comes together really well. She comes back to the same tree where she met her fate all those centuries ago and literally absorbs her own blood back into her body. The tone's consistent, and that score really does its thing to add on to her bloodthirsty desires. Get it? But seriously, if you think about it, I think she would have done better as a vampire.
Lady, quit while you're ahead.
Plasma level steady. Genetic modifications at optimum levels. So the core is overheating.
Finally, here's a movie that's so bad, it's good. Say what you will about superhero movie, it does have some pretty hilarious scenes. Since comedy counts on this list, one such scene is Lou's hourglass transformation. He kicks off the scene in typical Walt Disney fashion by testing out some healing equipment he's made with his science guys. What follows is a scene so badly acted and directed that you can't help but think that the creators were as high as a kite when they made this. Of course, we need to wait a few minutes to see hourglass in full effect, but man, there's some nasty power he's got. He's got to keep sucking the life out of others to further his own, I mean, it kind of sounds like my high school history teacher. So yeah, it works as a bit of comic relief as we move further up this list. Also, the scene kind of makes me wonder if Lou somewhat inspired Gavin Belson from Silicon Valley.
I am the hourglass, and your time is up.
Yep, here it is. This is the stuff you wanted, right? David Kane turned out to be a pretty popular fan favorite, and for good reason too. The dude's a killer, literally. After getting his ass whooped by Aquaman, David gets a little upgrade from Marius and his high-tech fish soldiers. As you can see, he's a total pro at handling the goods, and when we get a montage that takes a lot of inspiration from Tony Stark's own suit building process, I mean, you could argue that Batman does this kind of stuff too, But come on, lasers equals Iron Man, period. On top of that, the payoff is huge when he shows up later to take on Arthur and Mera. That suit is easily better than Aquaman's tights. But look, don't come at me in the comments on that one.
You can't run! You owe me blood!
Now, who would have thought that 101 Dalmatians had such a badass boss woman? Estella is one of those prime examples of a good character gone rogue thanks to society. Her transformation is actually a pretty short one. I mean, we all saw it in the trailers. However, the build-up towards this scene is what makes it so powerful in context. After noticing the Baroness wearing her dead mother's necklace, Estella decides to put in all her years of creative swag into one ultimate alter ego, Cruella. She goes to the black and white ball and pulls off her sparkling transformation with such swag that it's no surprise that she stole the Baroness's thunder as if she's the new Jane Foster. I guess Emma Stone was also motivated after her cruel send-off from Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Oh, I shouldn't have said that one. That one still hurts me. What was your name?
Cruella.
Oh.
I haven't visited this franchise in ages, but probably for good reason too. After James McCullen totally screws up against Duke with his flamethrower, he's kind of left pretty scarred from this incident. That looks nasty, doesn't it? Out comes Rex, aka the Commander, with his nanomites to save the day, and the newly transformed Destro gets the kind of facelift that would even put the Kardashians to shame. The power of this scene comes from the awesome burn effect we see on James, and the metallic formation that follows adds a new shine to his personality. Man, I'm killing it with the puns today, right? Anyway, Destro's final look is pretty decent if you compare him to the comics, and he was one of the highlights from this, okay-ish movie, I guess. I wonder how we would have got along with the Silver Surfer, though. Yeah, you know I was gonna sneak in a Spidey entry. You did. You knew I was gonna do that, right? How could I not, yeah? Adrian Toomes is such an effective villain that I was kind of surprised to see him making his first entry on the 5th volume of this series. Once again, this scene is kind of like a build-up, especially after we take our first look at the alien tech. Adrian and his men get the raw end of a deal, but that doesn't stop them from cooking up something in their own kitchen. And I don't mean Walter White level shit, I mean something even bigger than that. The montage works well to set up Adrian's eventual introduction as the Vulture, and boy, does he look good or what. This transformation isn't really shown explicitly, but the transition between caring father Adrian and cold-hearted criminal Vulture is more than enough to land him a spot in the top 3.
Business is good.
We've already had a glimpse of the ice, now we get a full show of the flames. Newt's transformation is probably the best one in Project Power, and for good reason too. This guy makes the Human Torch look like a freaking school kid. Anyway, what works the best for his power-up is that we can actually see his skin burn as he's in his arson-fueled state. I mean, that just hits different. He gives us and Jamie Foxx a decent display of his skills, and even though the drug dealer blows up by the end of it, he leaves a long-lasting impression on our minds and hearts. It's actually pretty funny to see a drug overdose metaphor in the form of a burnt-up machine gun Kelly. It was kind of expected though. A man dating Megan Fox can only keep up with so much heat. Hell yeah! I told you I was saving the big daddy for last, and here he is. Cletus has taken a bite out of Eddie and ingested something that's definitely not blood. Ugh, gross. It's time for his execution, and yep, something goes terribly wrong. Or right, I suppose, depending on whose side you're on. Well, I'm Team Cletus all the way, well, at least for this transformation. So, just look at it though. The atmosphere is so scary, and the effects could be straight out of a Cronenberg film if we didn't know any better. It also helps to see Cletus struggling with what's happening to him because it adds to our anxiety. It doesn't just end there. The final reveal is also done in such a masterful way. It slowly builds up with some suspense, with the dark lighting, and then booyah! There will definitely be carnage. Yeah, I'm still not completely sold on the way he looks in some of the scenes that follow. That's not what this list is about, is it? And his prison breakout sequence is still aces in my book. And there you have it. That was volume 5 of my top 10 supervillain transformation. So, do you agree with these picks, or do you want to give me a piece of your mind in the comments? Well, go ahead. And while you're at it, like, share, and subscribe to keep yourself up to date on all of my latest videos. Hit me up on Patreon in the description below if you want a sneak peek into some of my exclusive goodies. Okay then, I'll see you next time.